Hey guys, welcome back to Basic Grammar. Right now we're going to learn about the simple past. In this lesson, in the simple past tense, we are going to learn about the helping verbs was, were. Okay, so before we begin, let's take a look at A. Okay, now we have two pictures. We have a picture of Arturo from when he was at home and a picture of Arturo when he's at work. Now, if you read the sentences, now Arturo is at work. So, if we put this into a timeline right there, like that, Arturo is at work now, which is happening in the present. So, this is happening at the present right now. Well, in the second sentence, at midnight last night, he wasn't at work. So, it is talking about something that happened in the past. This is what we're going to learn about today. Lessons or events, actions that happened in the past. So, last night at midnight, he wasn't at work. He was in bed. He was asleep. So, sometime in the past, right here, this event happened. We don't know what time or exactly when it happened, but we know it's sometime here in the past. Okay, so let's continue learning about was and where and its use in the simple past. Okay, here. So we use the be verbs am, is in the present tense. We learned this in the previous chapters. So am or is, which is used in the present tense, is replaced by the helping verb was for the past tense. So, for example, is I am tired. If you want to write this in the past tense or the simple past tense, we replace am with the helping verb was. So, I was tired last night. Okay, so we see now a difference between the two sentences. We notice that in the past tense, the simple past tense, there's here at the end. At the end, we added a time indicator. This gives you context of when it happened. For example, here it is I am tired. Since I am tired, it happens now in the present. But here, I was tired last night. We know that it happened last night, sometime in the past. Okay, now the next example is where is Beth now? So we have to replace is, the helping verb is, with the helping verb for past tense, which is was. So where was Beth? And we have to give context or a time indicator with yesterday. So if we want to make this present tense question, simple present tense question, where is Beth? We replace it with where was Beth yesterday for the simple past. And then this one, the next one, and the last example for is, am, is, was, the yesterday is nice today. So that means today, in the present, the weather is nice. To make it into the simple past, we have to replace it is with was. So the weather was nice, and we need a time indicator last week. Okay, now let's go to the helping verb are. So are is used for plural nouns and pronouns, while am, is, was is used for singular nouns and plural pronouns. So back to are, which is used for plural pronouns and nouns. It is replaced by the past tense helping verb were. So, in the example here, you are late. We usually use this for someone who doesn't come on time. So, this sentence is in the present. It happens now. But if you want to say it happened in the past, you replace are with were and follow it with a time indicator like yesterday, or we can also say last week. Okay, so the next example, they aren't here. And this is our first example of a negative contraction. So, they aren't here. If we expound or expand this contraction aren't, it becomes are not. They are not here. That means they is not in the area right now, in the present. So here, the next one is they weren't here last Sunday. So again, this is a negative contraction of were and not. So they were not here, and the time indicator last Sunday. Okay, now you might be asking, teacher, how do we know which to use for which pronoun? So in the next lesson, in subunit B, we have here our pronouns, our helping verbs, and then some things to help you if you want to make a negative sentence and a question. So let's concentrate first here in the positive. So for the pronouns I, he, she, and it, we use the helping verb was. In the contrary, we use we, you, and they with the helping verb were. Okay, so again, I, he, she, it with the helping verb was. And we, you, they with the helping verb were. Okay, now let's say you want to make a negative sentence. You want to add the word not to your statement or your sentence. So we have the pronouns, again, same pronouns, I, he, she, it, we, you, they. So it doesn't change that with I, he, she, it, we still have to use the same helping verb was, but we add not after the helping verb, or you can use the contraction wasn't. Okay, so for the plurals, we, you, they, we have were followed by not. Then we can use also the contraction weren't. Okay, now that we've learned about the positive statements and the negative statements, let's say you want to ask a question with was or were. So you start your question with was, followed by your question. For example, was he or was I? Was she? Was it? Same thing. If you're using I, he, she, or it, you use the helping verb was. And for your questions, if you want to use the pronoun we, you, and they, you have to use the helping verb were. Okay, now let's see the examples given here. Okay, we have the first example. Last year, Amy was 22. So she's 23 now. Okay, so most likely Amy just had her birthday. So that means the year before she was 22, but now she is 23. Okay, the next sentence, when I was a child, I was afraid of dogs. So I here must be an adult now. But when I was a child, or when he or she was younger, he or she was afraid of dogs. Okay, so next sentence. We were hungry after the trip, but we weren't tired. Okay, now in this sentence, you can see both positive and negative statements being used. For the first part, we have we were hungry after the trip. So I'm guessing this event, this sentence happened quite some time after the trip was finished. So what so right after the trip was done or was completed, they felt hungry. So we see we, the pronoun we, it must be followed by were, okay? So pronoun we were, and after the trip, they were hungry. But here, and they want to express how they felt after the trip. So they wanted to express that they are not tired. They didn't feel exhausted. So they want to say we are not. So we can say we were not tired. Okay. So let's go to the next question. Okay. So the hotel was comfortable, but it wasn't expensive. So when they were staying at a hotel, they felt it was comfortable, but it was not expensive. That means it was cheap. Okay? And the next one. Was the weather nice? When you were on vacation. So, I'm guessing the person that the speaker is talking to was recently concluded or recently came back from a vacation. And the speaker wants to ask them about how the weather was when the one being spoken to was on their vacation. So, you see here, we're going to talk about how a question is made in this example. Okay, so we're talking about in the first part of the sentence. We can divide the sentence here in this part. Was the weather nice? So let's concentrate on this part of the sentence first. Was the weather nice? Okay, so we're talking about our subject in this sentence is the weather. So the weather could be replaced with the pronoun it. So since we know that the weather could be replaced with the pronoun it, we can see that if we look here above, it is here. So we must use the start of our question is was. So, was the weather nice? So that's our first part of our question. Now, we can look here when you were on vacation. So, you can see when you is our pronoun here. So that's why we have to use our helping verb were, okay? Okay, so our next question, our next example sentence is, the shoes are nice. Were they expensive? Okay, so we'll just concentrate on this part of the sentence. Were they expensive? So, since we use the pronoun they, we have to use the helping verb were, okay? And next one. So, why were you late this morning? Okay, so now we're going to talk about the use of WH questions in the context of simple past were was. Okay, so the teacher, most likely there's a teacher or a boss, is asking the person being spoken to about the reason why they were late. So we always want to start with our WH question, why, then we must follow it with the helping verb were. But why use were here? Because we use were because our pronoun is you. And if you should remember, you must be accompanied by were. Okay? Okay, now we have learned this. Let's stop and read our comments. So, Yewoon Kim, what do you mean by I was it? Okay, I don't really understand that. Hello to you too, Excel Troy. And Yewoon Kim, where did their parents go on vacation? Just comment that. And hello to all the people that say hi. Hi. Okay, so with that short break finished, let's go to section or subunit C. Okay. So, okay, let's see. I don't understand too. Teacher, wrong is say why you were late. Why were you late? Okay. Okay, so let's go back here because there are some questions about how to form a question. Okay, so it is wrong to say why you were late. Why you were late. Because if we go back to the structure of our sentence here, we must always start when making a question. We must start with the helping verb was or were when making a question. But if we want to make a sentence or a statement, the helping verb comes after the pronouns, okay? If you have any more questions, just post them in the comments. Okay. Now, let's go to this one, the short answers in subunit C. Okay. So if a person asks you one of these questions, like this one, why were you late? Were they expensive? Was the weather nice? Like that. If a person asks you these questions, you can answer in this way. So you must, when you're talking to someone, you must listen to what they're saying. If a person starts with their question with a was, and you agree with what they say, you start with your answer yes, your pronoun I and was. But if you're in a group, you could say we, you, or they were, okay? So same rules will always apply from the previous subunit. Okay, so if you have the pronouns I, he, she, and it must always be followed by was. And the pronouns we, you, they, it must be followed by the helping verb were. Okay, so before we proceed, someone is asking a question. My English teachers always yell me, Rina, why you were late today? My teacher is grammar wrong, I think. Well, we could give them the benefit of the doubt because I'm guessing your teacher is quite mad at you for being late. So you should just understand that sometimes when people get angry and it's not their, first language, or they're not fluent in that language, they will make mistakes. Anyway, all of us are humans. We're bound to make mistakes. Okay, so with that, I hope it cleared that up. So with that, let's continue with our example sentences right here. Were you late? No, I wasn't. So you see here that the person speaking asks the question, were you late? So it's talking to someone, and you must reply, I wasn't. So if you could see here in the question, the one asking the question use the pronoun you. And you must always remember that when using the pronoun you must use the helping verb were. And in the reply of the person being asked, he or she used the pronoun I. And again, you must remember, when using the pronoun I, you must use the helping verb was. Okay, so the next set of question and answers was caught at work yesterday. Yes, he was. So here you see that there is no pronoun to get your answer of what to choose this one. Okay, so we see that Scott, the noun is Scott, and Scott is a male name. So a male name, we can replace it with the pronoun he. So if we have the pronoun he, that's why the person asking used the helping verb was. And then again, since the one answering says he, the person answering would say was. Okay? And for the last one, were Amy and Matt at the party? No, they weren't. So in this one, we have two people of different genders. Amy, a girl, and Matt, a guy. So, Amy and Matt. So we take this subject as one. Amy and Matt. So we could say that Amy and Matt, if taken as one, making the plural, we could use the pronoun they. So if it's they, we use the helping verb were. So, were Amy and Matt at the party? No, they weren't. Okay, so there's a new comment here asking, Teacher, we were late yesterday. Is it right? We were late. Yes, that's correct. You use the pronoun we, and then if you go back to our table right here, it must be followed by were. So you are correct. Correct. Congratulations. And okay, so now we're done with this page. Let's go to our exercises. Okay. Now, 10.1. Where were these people at 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon? Where were you? Okay, so let's read example given in number 1. Bill was in bed. So we can see that at 3 o'clock, Bill right here was sleeping or was in bed. Okay, so number 2. Elena and Pablo. So Elena and Pablo. Okay, so you see Elena and Pablo are taken as one. So it could be we or it could be pronoun they. So we use the helping verb were. Okay, so it looks like they are studying or they're answering their books. So we could say that Elena and Pablo were at school. Okay. Now, number 3. Okay, so we have one active audience member. Excel Troy, can you please answer number 3? What is the proper helping verb here? Kate. Okay, so it seems that our active viewer is not responding. Oh, there he goes. So it's correct. Kate was. That's very good. So it looks like Kate is in a place where there are airplanes. So we could say Kate was at the airport. The airport. Okay. So number 4. Okay, so we have an elderly couple in number 4. And their names are Mr. and Mrs. Hall. Hall. Okay. So we could say Mr. and Mrs. Hall. So there are 2 people, right? So it's either we or they. So we still use here were. Were on what? So it looks like they're on a public transport. So it could either be a train or it could be a bus. But I would prefer to use a bus because it's short and easy to write on the computer because I am using a mouse. Okay, number 5. So, number 5, it looks like Gary here, a guy, singular, so we use the helping verb was. So, Gary was at, see there's sun, sand, and water, he's at the beach. Okay. So personally, me, number 6, and you, I. So I, we must follow it with the helping verb was. Okay, was and was. So I, at 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon, I was at work. Okay, so can you guys in the comments comment where you were on at 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon? Just follow this statement. I was at blank. Okay. Now, while you guys write your answers in the comments, let's go to 10.2. Write am, is, are, present, or was or were, past. Okay. So here, last year, she was 22. So she is 23 now. Okay, so we can see here last year, right? So last year is an indicator that something happens in the past. So she was. So we have to use was here because it is in the past. So since we have she, we have to use was. So was 22. So she blank 23 now. So now is an indicator that something happened in the present tense, and we have she. And if you can remember our past lesson, we have to use the helping verb is. Okay. So, we have to end our stream now. We're out of time. So I hope you've learned your lesson for today about simple past, was or were. So, thank you and see you next time.